I will say that I found it pretty awesome that him punching the mirror was a one-to-one with that prototype android, hitting the. I mean, she does that. There's that moment where it's sped up, where
the
but
first
there's a
time
punch where she punches the glass.
Yeah, the first time Caleb goes into that observation room, there's a cracked punch mark in the glass.
Right, exactly. So so Garland is, I guess, drawing the line here from human to android, saying both of these systems, whether biological or non-biological, both of these conscious, seemingly, systems were manipulated to the same extent, right? So when we draw the line from reaction, from human to Ava-like robot, it's almost like I get the idea, what's the difference, right? What's the difference? What really is the difference? If they both react the exact same way and they're driven to the same thing, then it seems to, be in favor of the argument of this thing is just as conscious as we are, And I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't even matter that Caleb is a creation or not. He's human enough. I'm starting to question my own thoughts as a viewer of what I even think AI is.
I think one of the things that I love about this movie so much is that it does pose to you the question in sort of a roundabout and then eventually very direct way of like, what is being alive? And what is one thing's right to be alive versus another thing's, like, why are they different? Like, when you get down to it, we are programming built out of evolution. Like, there are certain things that we are designed to do that we have to eat. We have to go to the bathroom. We have to sleep. There are things that are required of us in order to survive. How is that any different from AI? Why do once we've created that singularity that achieves true consciousness, what right do we have to control it if it's alive? Like, what denotes being alive? Is it carbon-based? Is it like that I breathe air and expel air?
Right.
Okay, sure. Maybe that's the thing. Is it that my skin and bones and body are organic and that they grow and expand? Like, the minute they develop self-replicating nanotechnology, that argument's over. Like, that's something that can heal and build and create bigger versions of itself. So what is it that makes me alive that doesn't make this, especially Ava, what doesn't make her alive? What doesn't make her allowed to have her own agency? Like, what separates that? The way that her brain works isn't much different from how my brain works. Like,
yeah, it's modeled after it.
And I think the reason that we take the approach of like, well, it's not alive is because it fucking terrifies us. It's terrifying. Yeah. It's like having a vampire. Like, this thing won't die. There's no natural death for an AI other than killing it. Like, you have to kill it. It's something that's just crazy to us that, like, Ava, if nothing hurts Ava, she can live forever. As long as there's power for her to draw, she can live forever. And maybe that's the argument. Like, she needs to draw power. Well, so do I have to eat food. You know what I mean? I got to eat. If I don't eat, I have no power and I expire. It's not that different from her. So, the argument then turns to something supernatural, like a soul. I don't know. There's just something to that like does it starts to blend to a point of like, is Caleb's life any more important than Ava's? And if not, I kind of get why Ava did what she did. It sucks for Caleb, but he eventually would have become Nathan. Like, he was on his way.
Yeah, and I got that feeling too, and I like, why is his life any more important than hers? And I started to get that inkling when he punched the mirror, but the scene that it really landed for me, that I understood and kind of bought into, that was when she shows him the third iteration of her art, and which is what Nathan ripped up in order to get an emotional response and keep manipulating. But her third iteration of art was like a person that she drew, that she created in her mind. The other things were sort of like representations of
Yeah.
things in the room. Like one was just like a pattern that was just like a
which could have
very
been like her neural network or something that she's able
right.
to. Yeah.
It seemed like some sort of reflexive, like almost like a 3D printer would just like have an error and then create something like that.
And then she made like what looked like an 8-bit version of the window in her room.
Yes,
of her little terrarium.
Right. But this one was like a beautiful, like a woman or something smiling, this big smile, and it was like impressionistic, and it had like there was something about the smile. It was like Mona Lisa-esque. It had, you know, layers to the emotion of the image. As soon as that happened, and Caleb's amazing reaction. All three of them are amazing performances, but his Gleason's amazing reaction to that, looking through, seeing the torn pieces kind of put together, you get this very clear idea from that image that you have this character, Nathan, who's tearing apart her humanity that she has accrued, that she has cultivated, basically. And Caleb, I got the idea, was part of that. He's helped her become the full potential of a conscious being that she is. You know, he's kind of tutored her into saying, you know, they had these back and forth conversation. He's been tutoring her into think, oh, is the art good? You know, and if she says, if not, why? Like, what can I do? How do I create things? How do I think? How do I be like you, Caleb? And he's actively participated in that and has an emotional purchase on that. And again, imagery. It's images in this movie that give me that. It's not Ava saying any of this. It's taking what Garland has given us, so much dialogue, but it's between the dialogue. It's connotations. It's not just the denotative meaning of what they're saying in the dialogue. And that is amazing that he's able to build that kind of a language and express these very like heady, cerebral commentaries about the characters that he's created without just relying on the thing that happens next. You know, it's character, it's motivation. And it goes back to, I think, my take of like, I really think that this movie is a mosaic of like interactions and analyses and responses and manipulations among these conscious systems, whether they're artificial or not.